My story is that while we were still living in the UK, we made an expensive move going the other way, Aidan. It was very expensive then. We actually fostered an autistic child on a respite basis. So we had Josh, our foster child, live with us every fourth weekend for a weekend. And we got to really understand a lot about autism. And I sort of got to thinking, knowing him and building a relationship, that there are a lot of things that he could do a lot faster and a lot more accurate than I could. For a long time after I arrived in Australia, managing a team of commercial contract negotiators, but also managing a couple of contract administrators, I thought actually someone who's neurodiverse could do the contract administration job just as well, if not better, than a non-neurodiverse person. So for a number of years I've been looking for the opportunity, and then I think through a meeting between Bodo and my manager, a guy called Mark Lee, who heads up public sector for Microsoft in Australia, I ended up connecting with Auticon and ended up very successfully hiring 2 consultants who are working very hard at the moment through a very large deal, and it's a great test actually, but the results have been very, very interesting to observe. Look, in all honesty, no. We, in Microsoft, like a lot of tech and a lot of companies generally, do engender a diversity approach. And in fact, in tech particularly, there's a lot of focus on gender diversity in particular, and then obviously racial diversity. We talk about accessibility, but it's not one of the mainstream subjects, to be really transparent. And so I felt that this would be a great opportunity. So from my manager's perspective, there was no resistance. He's basically opened the door for me. I am very lucky that I have a very loyal team, and we get on really, really well. And I think to some extent they knew that I had an interest in this. I'd mentioned it before over the years, and probably just thought, well, if Chris thinks it's a good idea, then let's see what happens. So nobody actually said, wow, that's a really bad idea, right? Are you sure you know what you're doing? So it was a very accepting environment. And then the coaching makes the difference. So I did actually have an opportunity a few years ago, but it fell away while I was abroad, to hire someone that was neurodiverse. I have to admit, had I gone out alone without the support of a company like auticon, I think it would have potentially been a disaster. So when I learned about what the service that you wrap around the consultants, I thought this will work. There were some interesting ones, and I'm smiling because I sort of go back to probably month 2. So I have 2 consultants, and they're quite different. And one of them in particular is the spectrum isn't a spectrum, it's actually a spider's web, and you're on a particular position. But with this particular consultant, it's quite obvious that he's on the spectrum. And he was having a one-to-one with one of his commercial execs who works for me, and he starts the meeting and he says, I'm bored, because he literally raced through everything, 100% accuracy, which was generating some complex price models, etc., and had done exactly what I thought might happen, which is actually go through it faster and more accurate than a non-neurodiverse people. And I've hired non-neurodiverse people in this role for years. So that was quite an amusing one. And the commercial executive didn't quite know how to handle that. And I said, well, it's great, but what will happen now is it opens us up to giving him more things that interest him, that challenge him, that he will naturally gravitate towards, right? But the one thing that I would urge caution is the worst thing you can do with someone who's neurodiverse is overload them with a whole bunch of random stuff. And so there has to be a process within which, almost like a comfort blanket, someone who's neurodiverse can work well in. And when you create that, and again, the coaching that we were getting from Auticon really helped as well. when you create that safety environment for that person, the actual productivity and output you get will be remarkably higher. But if you bombard them randomly, then you're taking a risk. And you know, a role that has a level of detail, some complexity, but
Mm-hmm.
has a process behind it that creates this safety net I referred to earlier. That's the sort of thing that you should be looking at. So the role, first of all, drives the need. When you found that, then again, it's definitely worth, and this isn't an advertisement, but we are with Auticon here, but there are other companies as well that do this. Definitely pick up with an expert like Auticon, so that you set yourself and your teams up for success. It is easy to fail in this, and as I said earlier, I could have gone it alone a few years ago, and I'm really glad I didn't. And even though I do understand a bit about neurodiversity, there is no way that I could do that job, and there's no way I could get the background and support and the upfront coaching, because before the assignment starts, my team was coached as well.